The 20th of March, 1995. 8:09 a.m. Tokyo Metro, Hibiya Line, 26 years old, Kyoka Izumi, takes a deep breath as she boards her morning train. The same routine she's followed for 3 years. Same car, same seat, same book in her hands. But today, the air she breathes will freeze in her chest. Pain will spread through her body like wildfire. She'll feel like she's been shot, though no gun was fired. Because 15 minutes earlier, a man in a dark suit placed a plastic bag filled with liquid on the floor of her train car. Then, he punctured it with a sharpened umbrella tip and walked away. The liquid was sarin, one of the deadliest nerve agents on the planet. Kyoka doesn't know it yet, but she's about to become one of over 6,000 victims of the most devastating terrorist attack in Japanese history. An attack ordered by a man who believed he was God. This is the story of how a half-blind massage therapist convinced brilliant scientists to poison Tokyo's subway system, how he built a billion-dollar empire of terror, and how one man's delusion of divinity led to a morning of unimaginable horror. But it didn't start with poison gas. It started with yoga classes and snake oil. The story begins decades before the subway attack, with a boy named Chizuo Matsumoto. Born in 1955 to a poor family of tatami mat makers in rural Japan, Matsumoto was nearly blind in one eye and partially sighted in the other. But his disability didn't make him weak, it made him cunning. At his special school for the blind, teachers watched in horror as young Matsumoto manipulated his completely blind classmates. He forced them to fight each other for his entertainment. When he took them into town, he demanded money and favors in exchange for guidance. Even as a child, he understood that people's vulnerabilities could be exploited for power.
Tender to some, brutal to others,
one teacher would later remember. After graduation in 1975, Matsumoto became a masseur and acupuncturist, respectable work for someone with his disability. He married and seemed to be building a normal life. With help from his wife's family, he opened a shop selling traditional Chinese herbal medicine. But Matsumoto had bigger ambitions than honest work. His medicine shop became a fraud factory. Dressed in a white coat to project medical authority, he sold worthless potions as miracle cures to desperate customers. Fake drugs that cost pennies to make sold for hundreds of thousands of yen. For a few years, the money poured in. The scheme couldn't last. In 1983, authorities caught up with him. Matsumoto was convicted of fraud and sentenced to prison. His business collapsed, his reputation was destroyed, and he faced bankruptcy and crushing shame. Most people would have learned from this humiliation. Matsumoto learned something different. In his prison cell, he meditated obsessively and studied Eastern philosophy as AI, not seeking spiritual peace, but planning revenge against the world that had exposed him as a fraud. He read about karma, reincarnation, and spiritual enlightenment, but in his twisted mind, these concepts became tools for manipulation rather than genuine beliefs. When he was released, Chizuo Matsumoto was gone forever. In his place stood Shoko Asahara, a self-proclaimed guru ready to build an empire based on the lie that he was divine. In 1986, he opened a small yoga studio in Tokyo called Aum Shinrikyo. To lonely urban professionals seeking meaning in Japan's materialistic society, Asahara offered meditation, spiritual guidance, and a sense of belonging. But this wasn't just another yoga class. This was the beginning of one of the most dangerous cults in human history: the Divine Transformation. By 1987, Asahara had mastered the art of manufactured miracles. A photograph appears in a spiritual magazine showing him levitating 6 inches off the ground, sitting cross-legged in meditation pose. To his followers, this was proof of his supernatural abilities. In reality, it was clever camera angles and hidden supports. But his followers didn't know that. Television appearances followed, radio interviews, magazine features. Asahara told anyone who would listen about his divine visions, how he was walking in the Japanese countryside when a deity appeared before him, revealing that he was the god of light, destined to lead the armies of all gods to create the holy kingdom of Shambhala. His message was carefully crafted to appeal to Japan's intellectual elite. He didn't just offer spirituality, research. He offered spirituality combined with science, research laboratories alongside enlightenment, advanced meditation techniques backed by modern technology. For educated young Japanese feeling alienated by their materialistic society, this was intoxicating. By 1989, the organization had grown large enough to change its name to Aum Shinrikyo, Supreme Truth. Hundreds of followers gathered at their Mount Fuji headquarters, wearing colorful robes and hanging on every word from their master. Asahara's recruitment strategy was brilliant and terrifying. He specifically targeted universities, seeking out the brightest students in physics, chemistry, medicine, and engineering. He promised them something Japanese society couldn't: a chance to use their considerable talents for cosmic significance rather than corporate profits. In the audience were some of Japan's most promising young minds: doctors who could have saved thousands of lives, physicists who could have advanced human knowledge, chemists who could have developed life-saving drugs. Instead, they became tools in Asahara's apocalyptic vision. The guru had convinced them that conventional society was doomed, that only his enlightened followers would survive the coming end times. But survival required preparation. It required dedication. And eventually, it would require them to help bring about the very apocalypse they were supposedly preparing to survive. September 1988. Aum Training Center, Mount Fuji. A young follower named Majima hangs upside down during a purification ritual. He's been showing signs of mental illness during the cult's intensive training sessions. Other members immerse him in ice-cold water to calm him down. The ritual is supposed to cleanse his karma and bring spiritual peace. Instead, it kills him. Emergency meeting. Asahara's office. Panic sweeps through the leadership as they realize the magnitude of their problem.
This could destroy everything,
someone whispers. A death investigation could expose their entire operation. Media attention, police scrutiny, criminal charges. But Asahara sees opportunity where others see crisis.
No,
he responds with eerie calm.
it's karma.
He was meant to be liberated from his earthly suffering. We have performed an act of compassion.
That night, cult members burn Majima's body in secret and dump his ashes in a remote lake. No police report is filed. No investigation launched. No justice for a young man whose only crime was seeking spiritual meaning. But word of the death begins to spread. Majima had friends outside the cult, people who ask uncomfortable questions. One of them is Shuji Taguchi, who threatens to leave the organization and expose what really happened. Asahara can't allow that. On his orders, 5 cult members strangle Taguchi to death in a small tatami cell. Asahara's first real murder, carried out by followers who believe they're saving their victim's soul by ending his life. The killings have begun, and Asahara's twisted theology provides justification for any atrocity he commands. As his paranoia grows, so does his interpretation of karma. In traditional Buddhism, karma teaches that good actions bring positive consequences, while bad actions cause suffering. Asahara weaponizes this ancient wisdom. According to his perverted logic, everyone outside Aum is infected with bad karma that will condemn them to suffering in the afterlife. His spiritually superior followers, however, have the ability to cleanse people of their bad karma through an ultimate act of salvation: murder. Violence becomes compassion. Brutality becomes spiritual service. The cult is no longer just seeking enlightenment. It's become a death factory with divine justification for genocide. In 1999, Aum Shinrikyo has evolved into something unprecedented: a shadow government preparing for the end of the world. Asahara organizes his operation like a legitimate state, complete with ministries and agencies run by hand-picked experts. The Ministry of Finance, led by Hisako Ishii, transforms the cult into a billion-dollar empire. When new members join as full disciples, they surrender everything: homes, savings, possessions, even valuables owned jointly with family members. Asahara's exploitation knows no bounds. His bathwater sells for $1,000 per bottle. His blood costs $10,000. Every bodily fluid becomes a holy relic, generating massive revenue from the faithful. The cult launches legitimate businesses as front operations: fitness clubs, restaurants, computer assembly lines. They undercut Japanese market prices by using unpaid follower labor, working members 18 hours a day while channeling profits into weapons development. International operations expand their reach. A tea plantation in Sri Lanka, a sheep farm in Australia, shell companies purchasing high-tech equipment, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals that will later fuel their preparation for Armageddon. The Ministry of Health becomes something far more sinister under Dr. Ikuo Hayashi's leadership. The elite physician, who once took an oath to do no harm, now runs what amounts to a torture facility disguised as spiritual healing. The Astral Hospital Institute is where cult members suspected of disloyalty are detained, drugged, and sometimes killed. Hayashi introduces treatments combining truth serum with electroshock therapy, supposedly to erase problematic memories. Followers who try to leave are kidnapped and subjected to re-education. Medical procedures disguise cult members' identities. Fingerprints removed, facial features altered, anything necessary to protect the organization's growing criminal empire. The Ministry of Science and Technology, overseen by brilliant physicist Hideo Murai, pursues fantastic weapons to prove Asahara's divinity. Earthquake machines based on Nikola Tesla's theories. Plasma weapons that would vaporize humans while leaving buildings intact for Aum to inhabit after the apocalypse. These science fiction projects lead nowhere, but they serve an important purpose, keeping talented scientists busy, while more practical weapons development proceeds in secret. But Asahara's promises of worldwide transformation keep failing to materialize. His predictions of earthquakes and wars don't come true on schedule. Some followers begin to doubt their master's divine powers. Until January 17th, 1995, 5:46 a.m., Kobe, Japan. The Great Hanshin earthquake strikes without warning, killing over 6,000 people in minutes and devastating the region.
I predicted this exact catastrophe. Just as I foretold, the earth shook precisely where I said it would. This proves I can see the future. Armageddon is approaching, and only we can survive it.
In reality, an Aum member had made a lucky guess on live radio 9 days earlier. But for the terrified followers, the earthquake seems like undeniable proof of their master's supernatural abilities. Time is running out. The final war is approaching, and they need weapons powerful enough to fight it. 1993. Aum's main laboratory complex employs over 100 scientists working with equipment worth $30 and million. Their mission? Develop biological and chemical weapons for the coming apocalypse. The biology team, led by Seiichi Endo, a virology graduate school dropout, focuses on weaponizing deadly pathogens. Their primary targets: botulism, toxin, and anthrax. Tokyo streets. Summer 1993. An Aum van drives through downtown areas, spraying clouds of what the team believes is lethal botulism toxin from mounted devices. The plan is ambitious: kill thousands of civilians and topple the Japanese government in the resulting chaos. Nothing happens. The biological weapon fails completely. They try again at the Imperial Palace during the Crown Prince's wedding, targeting the royal family with another botulism attack designed to decapitate Japan's leadership. Again, nothing happens. A third attempt uses briefcases equipped with sprayers placed near subway ticket barriers, targeting government officials during morning rush hour. Still nothing. Frustrated but undeterred, Endo pivots to anthrax production. After acquiring bacterial samples, the team attempts to weaponize them, even conducting tests on their own headquarters roof. This time something does work, sort of. The anthrax experiment makes the street smell terrible and kills a few birds and pets, but it poses no threat to humans. They load the anthrax powder into vehicles and drive through central Tokyo, spraying it from mobile dispensers in what's supposed to be their breakthrough attack. But again, nothing happens. No deaths, no chaos, no governmental collapse. Endo's biological weapons program proves almost comically ineffective. Even when the cult sends members to Central Africa to bring back Ebola samples, the mission fails entirely. But Aum has another option that's proving far more successful. The chemistry team, led by Masami Tsuchiya, a graduate student in organic chemistry, specializes in nerve agents. Unlike the repeatedly failed biological weapons, their chemical arsenal actually works. They've already tested sarin successfully on a herd of sheep at their Australian ranch. They've used it to assassinate dissidents who threaten the organization. In June 1994, they attempted to kill 3 judges in Matsumoto by releasing sarin near their apartment building, accidentally killing 3 innocent people instead. Sarin is reliable, sarin is deadly, and by early 1995, Asahara becomes obsessed with mass-producing it. February 1995. Tsuchiya supervises the manufacture of 70 tons of sarin, enough nerve agent to kill millions of people. If everything goes according to plan, they'll release clouds of poison gas over Tokyo, proving Asahara's divine power while eliminating everyone who opposes his vision. But then, disaster strikes their operation. A spill during sarin production releases toxic fumes beyond the compound's boundaries. Local residents report strange chemical odors. Police collect soil samples from areas surrounding Aum facilities. Laboratory analysis reveals traces of compounds directly linked to sarin manufacturing. For the first time, authorities have physical evidence connecting the cult to chemical weapons production. A newspaper publishes the findings, noting the suspicious proximity to Aum Shinrikyo's commune. Panic sweeps through the cult's leadership. They order the immediate destruction of all illegal chemicals, including their entire stockpile of completed sarin. Within weeks, cult members build a false wall inside their laboratory, hiding the weapons manufacturing equipment behind what appears to be a simple prayer hall. If police come looking, they will find only a room for meditation and spiritual reflection. But the investigations continue. The soil samples, combined with witness reports from other crimes, are building a case that even Aum's elaborate deceptions can't dismiss forever. The final mistake comes when cult members abduct a man whose wealthy sister had escaped from the organization. Aum wants her back. Specifically, they want her money back. But her brother refuses to reveal her location. Kept barely conscious through repeated drugging, the kidnapped man dies from an overdose while in Aum custody. Unlike their previous murders, this abduction had been witnessed. A bystander records the license plate of the van used in the kidnapping, and police trace it directly to a cult member. March 1995. Police headquarters. Investigators review mounting evidence. Sarin traces in soil samples, the kidnapping traced to Aum, the pattern of missing persons and suspicious deaths. We're raiding Aum Shinrikyo headquarters in 3 days. The same day, Aum compound. Asahara receives intelligence from police informants about the upcoming operation. Everything will be discovered. The weapons, laboratories, the torture facilities, the evidence of multiple murders. He calls an emergency meeting with his most trusted lieutenants.
They're coming for us. We need a diversion spectacular enough to stop this investigation and prove our divine power simultaneously.
What do you want us to do, Master?
Asahara's response echoes through history. Attack the Tokyo subway system. We have 2 days to prepare. March 19th, 1995, 11:00 p.m. 5 men gather in an Aum safe house, knowing they've been chosen for the most important mission in their organization's history. Dr. Ikuo Hayashi had once taken an oath to do no harm as a physician. Now he was preparing to poison thousands of innocent people. Kenichi Hirose was a physics graduate who could have contributed to humanity's understanding of the universe. Instead, he was calculating the most efficient way to distribute death through Tokyo's subway system. Each man received a hypodermic needle containing atropine sulfate, a sarin antidote that might save their lives if they were exposed to the nerve agent. At 6 a.m. on the 20th of March, 5 cars left the safe house, each heading to a different subway station. Their targets: 3 subway lines that converged at Kasumigaseki, the heart of Tokyo's government district. 7:48 a.m. Chiyoda line attack. Ikuo Hayashi boards the southbound train at Shin Ochanomizu Station. 3 stops later, he places his plastic bag on the floor, punctures it with his sharpened umbrella, releasing 900 milliliters of liquid sarin. Then he exits and disappears into the crowd. 26-year-old Kyoka Izumi feels the sarin enter her lungs. Pain explodes through her chest like she's been shot. Around her, other passengers begin coughing violently. By the time the train reaches Kasumigaseki, passengers are collapsing. 4 more simultaneous attacks. At exactly the same time, 4 other men release identical sarin packages on different trains across Tokyo's subway system. The Hibiya and Marunouchi lines are hit multiple times. Within 30 minutes, 5 chemical weapons attacks have poisoned Tokyo's transportation network during peak rush hour. 8:35 a.m. Emergency dispatchers are overwhelmed. People are collapsing at Kasumigaseki Station. Mass casualties at Shimbashi. Something's wrong with the air in the subway. Street Luke's International Hospital fills with patients showing identical symptoms: constricted pupils, difficulty breathing, convulsions. Dr. Yutaka Kurata recognizes this isn't food poisoning. This is chemical exposure. We're dealing with mass poisoning. Laboratory analysis confirms the worst fears. Sarin nerve agent. Police immediately suspect Aum Shinrikyo. The soil samples, the pattern of murders, the upcoming raid. The cult has struck first. March 22nd, 1995. Hundreds of police officers surround Aum facilities in the largest law enforcement operation in Japanese history. May 16th, 1995. Police find Asahara in a hidden room beneath the main building, sitting in his own filth, clutching bundles of cash. The false god is arrested without resistance. 189 Aum members were prosecuted. 13 received death sentences. The 6th of July, 2018, 23 years later, Asahara and his top lieutenants were executed by hanging. The lesson. Asahara didn't recruit outcasts. He targeted Japan's intellectual elite: doctors, physicists, engineers. People who could have saved lives instead built weapons of mass destruction. The warning signs were there: missing persons, financial crimes, chemical experiments. But bureaucratic confusion and religious protections allowed a terrorist organization to operate freely. The Tokyo subway attack proved that ordinary people can be systematically transformed into willing participants in extraordinary evil through careful manipulation and gradual escalation. In the end, Asahara's promise of spiritual enlightenment led only to death and suffering. His vision of divine transformation created nothing but victims. The false god is gone, but the lessons of his evil must never be forgotten.